Good morning, dear students. Continuation on yesterday's lecture. Today we'll see the second part of the introduction to public health. So today the lecture will the contents are definition of dental public health, tools of dental public health. In that we will discuss various tools like epidemiology, biostatistics, social sciences, principles of administration, preventive dentistry. So coming to definition of dental public health, given by American Board of Dental Public Health by adapting Winslow definition, it is the science and art of preventing and controlling dental diseases and promoting dental health through organized community efforts. It is that form of dental practice which serves the community as a patient rather than the individual. It is concerned with the dental health education of the public, with applied dental research, and with the administration of group dental care programs, as well as the prevention and control of dental diseases on a community basis. Next, the important aspect of the public health is tools of dental public health. So there are 5 tools: epidemiology, biostatistics, social sciences, principles of administration, and preventive dentistry. So let us see one each tool in detail now. So epidemiology is a scientific study of factors, conditions related to disease as they occur in people. The word epidemiology is derived from epi, among, demos, people, and logos, study. Parkin in 1873 defined epidemiology as branch of medical science dealing with epidemics. Epidemiology is also defined as the study of distribution and determinants of health states or events in specified population and the application of this study to the control of health problems. So, aims of epidemiology are to minimize or eradicate the disease or health problem and its consequences, and to minimize the chances of its occurrence in future, and to promote the well-being of a society as a whole. The objectives of epidemiology are to define the magnitude and occurrence of disease conditions in man, to identify the etiological factors responsible for the above conditions in man, and to provide data necessary for planning, implementation, and evaluation of programs aimed at preventing, controlling, and treating diseases. There are 3 types of epidemiological studies or methods, which are descriptive epidemiology, analytical epidemiology, and experimental epidemiology. So, descriptive epidemiology deals with studies which are usually the first phase of any epidemiological investigation. A descriptive study is one that attempts to do no more than describe the pattern of occurrence of a disease or a condition related to other characteristics of the population. Example: a study conducted for measuring the degree of dental caries in school district related to age, sex, socio-economic characteristic of the children. So, analytical epidemiology, it is the second major type of epidemiological studies. The focus here is the individual with the population, unlike descriptive epidemiology, which focuses the entire population. It is designed primarily to establish the causes of disease by investigating association between exposure to risk factor and the occurrence of disease. The objective of the analytical epidemiology is basically to test the hypothesis. There are 2 types. One is the case control, other is the cohort study. So, case control study, it is also known retrospective or study. The case control method has 3 distinct features. Both exposure and outcome have occurred before the start of the study. The study proceeds backwards from effect to cause, and it uses a control or comparison group to support or refute an inference. Cohort study, it is also known as prospective study. longitudinal study, incidence study, and forward-looking study. The distinguished features of cohort study are: the cohorts are identified prior to the appearance of disease under investigation. The study groups so identified are observed over a period of time to determine the frequency of disease among them. This study proceeds from forward from cause to effect. Next is the experimental epidemiology. It is also called intentional studies or studies which carried out under the direct control of the investigator. The aims of experimental epidemiology studies are to provide scientific proof of etiological factors which may permit the modification or control of those diseases, to provide a method of measuring the effectiveness and efficiency of health services for the prevention and treatment of disease, and improve the health of the community. So experimental studies are of two types. One is randomized control trials and other is non-randomized control trials. So next, coming to the second tool of rental public health, which is the biostatistics. Biostatistics is the science of compiling, classifying, and tabulating numerical data and expressing the results in a mathematical or graphical form. So that is statistics. So biostatistics is a branch of statistics concerned with mathematical facts and data related to biological events. So medical statistics is further specialty of biostatistics when the mathematical facts and data are related to health, preventive medicine, and disease. Uses of biostatistics are to define normalcy, to test whether the difference between two populations regarding a particular attribute is real or a chance occurrence, to study correlation or association between two or more attributes in the same population, to evaluate the efficacy of vaccines by studies, to locate, define, and measure the extent of morbidity and mortality in the community, to evaluate the achievements of public health programs, to fix priorities in public health programs. Next, other tool of public health is social sciences. Social sciences usually include sociology, cultural anthropology, and psychology. They frequently include economics, government, and sometimes history as well. The public health worker, when he embarks upon organized community effort, is very dependent upon the group behavior of the individuals determined by their culture. It is one of the important developments in public health during the last decade that social sciences have been called into aid in adapting new health programs to existing cultural patterns. The social scientist becomes necessary when effort and effect do not match each other and we want to know why. He helps us in the assessment of the process a program is using or plans to use in finding out how well this process fits with the socio-cultural system of the group with which we are working. Coming to the next tool, that is principles of administration. There are two main areas in which administrative work may be divided. One is organization, other is management. The dentist with a leadership role in public health program needs to know many of the principles by which large enterprises are administered. Organization deals with the structure of an agency and the way the people are arranged into working groups within it. Management is concerned with the handling of personnel and operation in such a way that the work of the agency gets done. The last tool of dental public health is prevent dentistry. So, prevention is always better than cure. It is, in its broadest sense, all of dentistry and encompass those practices by individuals and communities that affect oral status. An interesting concept in thinking about preventive measures for any disease is that the levels of prevention. These are primary, secondary, and tertiary. Primary level includes health promotion, that is through health education and specific protection. Secondary prevention involves early diagnosis and prompt treatment. Tertiary prevention involves disease control, which includes disease limitation, which is the prevention to the extent that sequelae and complication of disease are minimized. The approaches for primary prevention recommended by WHO. So, primary prevention, prevention of emergence of development of risk factors in countries or population groups in which they have not yet appeared. So, population strategy, it is directed at the whole population irrespective of individual risk levels so as to bring about behavioral and lifestyle changes. High risk strategy, it aims to bring about preventive care to individual at special risk. Health promotion, health education, environmental modifications, nutritional interventions, lifestyle behavioral changes. Specific protection, it is the provision of conditions for normal mental and physical functioning of the human being individually and in the group. Coming to secondary prevention, it is defined as action which halts the progress of disease at its incipient stage and prevents complications. The specific interventions are early diagnosis and adequate treatment. So, tertiary prevention, it is defined as all measures available to reduce or limit impairments and disabilities, minimize the suffering caused by existing departures from good health, and to promote the patient's adjustment to irremediable conditions. Modes of intervention are disability limitation and rehabilitation. So, dental practitioners' role in public health. The community affairs to be faced by dental practitioners may be proposal to build a new school building, fluoridated drinking water supply, expansion of recreational facilities for children, building a community health center to discuss community health problems. So, with the public health, so we can bring change in the attitude of knowledge of the population. So, this complete introduction of public health. Thank you.